Let me just, I've got to click through a few things just to get my screen correct. Right, okay, that's that. Where am I there? Oh, plenty of comments. What can I say? What oh? It feels I am quite enjoying doing these continuous lives Sunday through Wednesday, simply because I kind of get it into the rhythm. It's a bit like radio shows. If you're doing radio shows, the first one's always shite, and it kind of goes like that and that and that and that. By the time you get to the end of the week, you're not so bad. So enjoying them this week. There's lots to go at, lots and lots and lots. So welcome to the body of the Kirk, yeah, wrongin'. Free Battenberg for those that enjoy a little slice. The free altar wine, although Sister Mary has been really remiss the last couple of evenings. She's not made herself known. So whether she's in the beer garden with the choir boys. Cardinal is also making himself very scarce at the moment. We have the hibiscus and no Jaeger bombs because I'm still on the ye old tablets. Hang on a second. Yeah. So some parish notes. Welcome. We've got lots to talk about. I'll tell you what the sermon's going to contain in a moment. But first, just welcome a few of the parishioners to the body of the Kirk. Evening, Rev, says Stuart. In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, looking forward to Battenberg after wine and 2 hours of ranting, Rev. Well, I do try and not rant. That's the thing. It just twists me melon, man, or me melons. Des Ashton. Oh, okay, Des, welcome. Give it some real Battenbergery, Rev. I will do, just for you, Des. Tom, do you know, that bloody dog's not barked all day. It must be sitting there in front of the telly going, is he going to start his YouTube yet? I'll start barking when he starts his YouTube. And there you go. It's all in the timing. Tom Harney's evening all. Ear defenders are available in the verger's office if required. Oh, Tom, what are you trying to say? Am I a bit loud? Let's get back to... Have you seen the film Porky's? And Lassie, if you can remember that far back, that's one of the funniest films I've ever seen in my life. What was I going to do? Right, give me 2 seconds. I've just got to click through because I was going to... Oh, in fact, I'll leave it till tomorrow night. Shut up. I'll leave it till tomorrow night because we have another live tomorrow, and I'm going to need... I am going to need material for tomorrow evening because the last 2 nights, even though I've prepared lots to talk about, I haven't had a chance to talk about it because we've kind of gone off on tangents and talked about more important stuff. We are going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein this evening, simply because I think Trump's presidency is over. It's done. It's finished. The American people now are questioning him and his FBI, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and Dan Bongino, the Assistant FBI honcho. So we'll talk about that tonight. But I'm telling you, his presidency's over. Doesn't matter what he does now. The American people are looking him square in the eyes going, so Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for what? Oh, trafficking minors to Jeffrey Epstein. But trafficking minors for who? Ghosts? So we'll talk about that later. Paul Morton, evening Paul, evening all, evening Rev, evening Paul. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, as ever. Paulie Galtieri, evening Adrian, yeah, utter wrong. Hope you've had a good day. I've been prepping this bloody live all day, Paulie. There is lots going on, and there's kind of stuff to get me teeth into. So Epstein, BBC, because they've been called anti-Semitic again. I'll tell you about the time I took on the Labour Party and the BBC in York once. I wanted to go fighting with about 300 of them. I'm not joking, genuinely. But we'll tell you that story later. Tom Harney's says, just watched Carry On Up the Battenberg, in which Two-Tier and his band of miscreants rummage about trying to find the promise that they haven't broken. Much hilarity and japery doth ensue. this Labour government, they're abjectly evil. Going to talk about them later. And Rachel, Tiny Tears, we're going to talk about her. Because what's coming is no wonder she was... Well, I think that Tiny Tears was crying a week ago in the House of Commons in PMQs. The reason she was crying was because her political career is over. It's over. It's done. It's finished, because they're going to hike up taxes in the autumn budget. They're going to hit the wealthy, so more are going to leave the country. So it's going to be, Muslims on benefits and everybody else is paying for them, because that's why they need to hike the taxes. But we'll get to that in just a little while. So if you're Muslim and you're on benefits because you've just come over on dinghy, or you're shagging our kids, then kindly just shuffle off. I don't want you on this channel, because you might not like what I'm going to say later. Evening all, says Tablock Tracy. I made a willy warmer for Theo Bovril. He said he didn't want it, so I pulled the wool out and made a cardigan. See my lovely pervert at 7:30. Love you all. Oh, Tablock Tracy, what can I say? And Tom Arnie says, what's with all the shouting last night? Sister Mary and the nuns had quite a job getting the choir boys to settle down. Bless them. Just give them a Mars bar. How do you get a choir boy into bed? Just chuck a Mars bar in. Les Griffith says, I wonder what pseudonym the convicted stalker uses tonight. One that'll get shadow banned, whatever he does. I will say, I don't really want to talk about him tonight. Might talk about him tomorrow night. But because I've had a lot of people contact me today in various guises and for various reasons. And I just want to sort of amalgamate them into talking about it. And I'll just read your comments and your emails that I've been sending, and I will read them out anonymously. Because he has been known to stalk people before. So the convicted stalker might not like what he's going to hear tomorrow night. But then again, he's going to be doing his phone in, so what would he care? Bad Wolf Project says, Captain Free Speech of the HMS Irrelevant. Possibly Bad Wolf Project, you can say that, but I can't possibly comment. Evening all, you wrong'uns. Theo Bovril is in the body of the Kirk this evening. Bad Wolf Project got 13 charming messages from the usual anonymous herpes after last night's live. Shame they don't know I've clocked their IPs. Muppets, indeed. As Griffith says, they're as thick as a donkey's dangler. I might nick that, Les. That's quite funny. Bad Wolf Project, Les says, they don't really bother me now or worry me. They don't know my background. He. Bad Wolf Project. You don't upset a wolf. Control Alt Delete. Oi oi, Savaloy. Talking about donkeys danglers. Welcome Control Alt Delete. And PT Ham. Hi all you wrong'uns. Welcome PT Ham. Good to see you in the body of the Kirk this evening. So what are we going to talk about? Obviously, I'll try and get to as many comments as I can whilst we go through. Lauren Taylor, evening wrong'uns. Evening, Lauren. Paulie Galtieri, the Queen, literally of free speech and general stalkery. Yeah, but he's trying to make out that he's... So just ask yourself a question. Why would a heterosexual man want to go to a pride march? I mean, there's your answer. He came out at the trial. Right, what we're going to talk about tonight. Louise Hampson, evening all. Yeah, wrong evening, Louise. Terry Wookfit's in the body of the Kirk, locked up for hurty words. PMSL. I think that's pissed myself laughing. I do hope that he's mentioned me in his book. And I do hope that he's actually told everyone the truth. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Anyway, tonight, the Simon, Epstein, the prediction, eruption. It's all kicking off in America. So on the one hand, you've got the political elite, Trump and his government, and his, what's his press lady that takes on the questions from the press pack. She wasn't wearing a cross today. As in, you know, cross, that she wears on a chain around her neck. Why is that? Because she didn't want to lie, in my view. So we're going to talk about Epstein, the prediction, and the eruption, and everything that's going on stateside. Going to talk and give you a quick Liverpool Crown Court update. Because the mainstream media won't. Couple of Muslims in Liverpool Crown Court. I'll give you the update in just a little while. Question for you. Trump, is this the end? Says the Doors and Jim Morrison. We're going to do an observation on the 7/7 20th anniversary. It was yesterday, but I was just watching to see what reportage we would get, what bullshit we would get, so what shite we would get from the machine that is the Labour government. Going to talk about that later. And also, new Superman film, as in Superman. New Superman film is out this weekend, so I've got a question for you. You can think about it, but I don't want you to answer now, because you'll get the whole commentary thing in a whole donkey's dangler confusion. What would be your kryptonite? You are Superman or Superwoman, as Karen White once sang. Remember that song, Superwoman? What would be your kryptonite? I'm going to ask you in a little while so that we can talk, we can communicate, we can engage with each other, darling. Going to talk about the royals. May. These clowns that live in Buckingham Palace and other palaces for nout and live off the taxpayer for nout and are getting rid of a train because they want 2 helicopters. Well, one for him, one for his son, not the other one, not the one in America. No, he's been cast to the wind. But I just want to ask you a question. Is Harry in rehab? Strong rumours coming from my sources saying that Harry's in hospital. He collapsed. My kryptonite would be I can't even really say it. My kryptonite would be my late mother-in-law. EBTB holiday. Evening, you wrongin'. We're getting into the parish notes. Because a 7:30 start, I tend to try and get in between 20 past and 25 past so I can say hello to everyone. I want to talk about the shite state of this country. It's a technical term that we use in radio, but the shite state of this country. Unless you're a Muslim, of course, where you get everything for free. We'll give you some geopolitical insights because there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to tell you tonight that's not in the newspapers because I've read them and they're not in there. Stuff like China's backing Iran and selling Iran arms and armaments, and the Houthis are back at it in the Red Sea. There's a UK vessel in the Red Sea that's been fired upon and is trapped. So the government's not allowing that out, are they? No, neither's bloody Bibi Netanyahu, the warmonger, the most evil man on planet Earth. We'll talk Russian politics. Do you want to know how they fix stuff? I mean, can you imagine being in a cabinet meeting in this country and someone says, right, we're going to use the Russian model. Oh, I say, what's that? Well, in Russian politics, the transport minister, he went to a cabinet meeting in the morning. Somebody blew his head off in the afternoon. So he's Foxtrot Oscar. He's gone. He's not the minister anymore. He's got a gaping hole. Hang on, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 holes in his head. And we'll talk about Israel versus Iran because, you know, the Muslims, because that's their ideology in Iran. I'm not suggesting they're not Persians, but they're Muslims against the Israelites. Maybe I should do a rap version of Desmond Decker. I was going to mention the Dalai Lama. He's still sucking tongues, and he says there's going to be a successor after he dies. Does he not get the fact that it's a successor of children's tongues? I mean, you couldn't make that up. That's not my gag. He says he will have a successor after he dies. Good on him. Got to keep the kids' tongues sucked. Greg Wallace. Greg Wallace. Foxtrot Oscar. He's been sacked from MasterChef. After 50 more people have made claims. Bless him. I do hope he makes a go of being a PT, personal trainer, because he lost a few pounds. So, should we take Jackie Glasgow? Don't say Trump is going. The last shite hope. I know, and I did say for many a month before he was elected that he's the saviour of America, but the dark forces that are at work. QNAP alerts. I have all the emails to prove the whole thing. What? Hang on. Do I spy with my little eye? Something beginning with caring, understanding, 90s type. So there is There is lots to be going on with this evening, but I think we shall start with Stuart says, why was Greg Wallace wearing a hairnet in a crisp factory when he has no hair? Telly, darling. Don't believe anything you see in the on the telly. Tablock Tracy. Taylor skirting boards for me. I have that much white paint on me. I look like a Plasters radio. Brilliant. So, welcome, Ghetto Defendant. We still need to talk Epstein. We do, and we're going to now. So, I'm going to ask you a question. Can you remember seeing the drone footage that was doing the rounds? Because when the Donald was elected to be president and then took to office in January, what was one of the first things he promised? He says, oh, I'm going to release the Epstein files. I'm going to release all the information that we've got. I'm going to release all the information. We've got 14 terabytes worth of information. That's a hell of a lot of emails. And videos, and they've got 10,000 videos of child porn and child rape and all kinds of malarkey. That's the FBI, because that's what they told us. Fact, 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 fact. And Pam Bondi says, do you know, we're just going to take our time releasing this. And then they got all these files, and they showed the files, and on the front it had Epstein files, and everybody's like, ooh. Now in them, obvs. But they said they had it all. They were going to release it all. And there's Kash Patel, where the book stops in the FBI. He said, I've seen. And everybody's like, oh, this is brilliant. Trump's in, going to release everything. All the elites that, have been to Epstein Island, like Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and anybody else called Bill. They've now said... So the drone footage arrived like a month or two after Trump got into office. And the drone footage, obviously, it was up a height because it's a drone. That's how it works. Showed footage of someone that looked like Jeffrey Epstein actually on his island. And they scarpered so that you couldn't see them. This was after he was supposedly unalived, dead, stiff. And then... Virginia Giuffre, or Virginia Roberts, one of his more high-profile victims, who worked at Mar-a-Lago, seemingly. Is there a connection there, perchance? But her dad worked at Mar-a-Lago. She went there just kind of doing Saturday work and stuff, and then got introduced to Jeffrey. And then she said she was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein to come across here to have sex with Prince Andrew, who's absolutely got away scot-free. Air Miles Andy, he'll be back in those bloody helicopters before you can say, oi, you're fat wrongin'. No. So Virginia Giuffre said Jeffrey Epstein wasn't dead. In an audio, is it called a dead man's trigger? A dead man's switch? So if you think you're going to get unalived by... dark forces, as the Queen said around the Diana murder. So she said Jeffrey Epstein wasn't dead. It's an audio recording she made before she was unalived. What? You think it was suicide? Hey, are you that gullible? Because these big events, and I told you in December 2025 was going to be the year of the PSYOP, the year of the false flag, and stuff that you kind of would be given propaganda for, and you would kind of believed. But if you look in retrospect, backwards, you would see, oh, that's a bit convenient. Virginia Giuffre, Roberts, if you will, died in April, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing coming out about Epstein or Prince Andrew, who spunked $18 million for no apparent reason whatsoever, just wanted to give away money. Queen's money, taxpayers' money, anybody's money. He wanted to give it away. $18 million worth. Why would he do that? So it was awfully convenient that Virginia Giuffre, according to the official sources, killed herself. But dead man's switch, dead woman's switch, dead woman's trigger, if you will. She left some stuff saying, if I'm dead, it wasn't me. And Jeffrey Epstein's not dead. Now, there's a whole conjecture going on in America now that he's part of the witness protection program. And I would suggest the reason that is because, and the reason why they've not been able to release names is simply because the whole system works on blackmail. And the whole system is blackmailing the really powerful people. These are people that don't have to adhere to law. They are beyond the law. They are beyond money because they've got more than anybody else. I mean, you know, billionaires, trillionaires, whatever they can't be touched. But they can be besmirched. So if somebody comes out and goes, he shags kids, then that's just it over. Unless you're Bill Gates, of course. I still haven't worked out why he was on Epstein Island and the Lolita Express and what he was up to. And the fact that his wife said, yeah, part of the reason I'm divorcing him was his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. So if his missus knows what's going on and then decides to divorce him, what was he up to with Jeffrey Epstein? Just a question. Asking for a friend. Friends. 270 of them. Just asking. So, Ghislaine Maxwell. So if Virginia Giuffre, dead man's trigger, she's left stuff. So if it was me and you, and I had some really tasty stuff on some really nasty, naughty people, and I've held on to some stuff for 40 years since I started doing phone-ins in the 80s. And what you do is you just go, right, I'm going to give it to me trusted generals, 1,000 people. And if I die, for whatever reason, just release it. So maybe it's 1,000 emails to 1,000 news organisations. The news organisations won't do anything. They're not bloody interested. YouTube's the new news organisation. That's the mainstream media right there. Me talking to you, that's mainstream media. It's not the Sun or the Mirror or the Mail or the Telegraph or the Times. They are just propaganda peddlers. They're telling you bullshit because they get paid. I was looking at some of the newspapers as a little aside before I get into Ghislaine Maxwell. Thank you, Control Alt Delete. Seen it. I'll take a look once I'm finished. The newspapers, they're just bulking the news out with shite. So your sun signs, letters to the editor, or Dear Deirdre, or they'll give you, like every day, they'll give you 5 pages of TV listings. Who the bloody hell watches TV nowadays? Not me. I very much doubt you because you're watching this, you wrong. So all the newspapers are just bulked out. And then there's the Daily Mail. It'll be round the wrong way. But this evil mayor, the mushroom murderer from Australia. So they're doing a 6-page expose in this country because they can't find any other news in this country because there isn't any. Because the government deems, no, you can't do that. No. By the way, if you're doing 7/7 20th anniversary, you can't mention Muslims, you can't mention terrorists, you can't mention Muslims, you can't mention terrorists, you can't mention northern Muslims, who evidently would have been rape gangs. You can't mention all of that. You've just got to have Sadiq Carnage stand there with a wreath, standing next to the most evil man in this country. And that takes some Carnage takes some beating. Sir Keir Starmer. So it's just all shite in the newspapers, and they bulk it out with even more shite. And then the adverts at the back, because that's the government buying the adverts. You don't even know, those cruisers in the back of magazines. And have you ever gone on one of those? Have you ever taken a holiday? Have you ever bought the trousers that you can use in the garden that's like they're really, really cool? Or the polo shirts? Have you ever bought any of that shite? I don't think people do. But the newspapers don't care because they get the money from the government. That the last year, the Sun lost £50 million. That's like almost $1 million a week. We can't keep going on like that unless they're getting money from somewhere. So, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail. Lover, madame of Jeffrey Epstein, and she would procure the young girls in Florida and anywhere else for Jeffrey to have massages and to end up shagging underage girls. Because as I've said before, there are certain people in this life that like their bananas green. So Epstein being one of them. But Epstein had cameras everywhere in his New York apartment. And how does he go from being a maths teacher to being a billionaire? maybe he was just super cool and super intelligent and knew maths backwards, but didn't have any bloody money until when people started paying blackmail money. That's how the system works. We're going to blackmail you because you've been doing that, and that is so bad that you would have to go and live on an island for the rest of your life without any money or kids or the whatever. Charlie, because it seems like all the politicians, major politicians around the world, love a bit of a toot on the old Colombian marching powder. There's what's her face from the Southern Hemisphere. I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to name the country. You'll have to use your own research. And then we've got trains in Europe coming back from wherever it was. They were heading down southern Europe, yeah. And there's all that nosebag on the table. I mean, the journalists are so used to Colombian marching powder, they didn't even see the bag on the table and go, "Oh, chaps, is one powdering one's nose? Oh, well, you're very smiley coming out of the bogs." I mean, unless they've been botting each other, of course. Technical term that we use in radio. So, Ghislaine Maxwell, let me just offer you this. Madame Procurer, source for underage girls for Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Sounds like an episode of Rainbow. But Ghislaine Maxwell. So let me just kind of get my head straight here. And I would love to see your comments in a minute once I uncover this. So Ghislaine Maxwell. No names. No clients. What would be the first thing you would do? After today, what's the first thing you would do? I'd appeal my sentence. Because what's she done? Trafficked young girls to ghosts. So there's no names, no clients, no proof. So watch. Because they might let her out now, but she might not. Well, she might get out now, but they might tell us in 6 months' time, well, her lawyers were very clever and got her off. I mean, she's got a cushy number. Kenneth Noel Curran, Osborne, another supposed a brown nose. Well, there's plenty of them in Parliament. And I did see him grinding his teeth and jaws sitting on the front bench. Kettleman, anyone? Paulie Galtieri, did Jazzy Jeffrey Epstein go to Diddy parties? Well, you have to understand. Jeffrey was for the whites. The Jews and the Israelis, keeping control of people. There wouldn't be anyone black or brown skinned at Epstein's parties, but they would have all been at Diddy's parties. So it was, so showbiz was corrupted, politics was corrupted, business was corrupted, the legal system and industry was corrupted because they were just getting those evil people to do evil things with young people that was absolutely categorically against the law. But they didn't care. I mean, they did say, or Virginia Giuffre did say that Andrew was quite a considerate lover. Can you imagine that? Banging something at 16 or 17. I mean, the other thing is, just to kind of relate this to Ghislaine Maxwell, the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, Janice Edgar Hoover was his weekend name. He loved a bit of a dress up. He's dead. I can say anything that I want. He liked wearing women's clothes. Now, back in the 40s and 50s, that was, blimey. I mean, that was proper left field. Nowadays, people get dressed up and call themselves anything they want on a weekend, their weekend name, and nobody bats an eyelid. But there's worse stuff than that. I mean, walking around wearing a gimp mask, taking your sub with you. I mean, that's not even right out there. It used to be. This bloke in Darlington used to take his sub for a walk down to the local butcher's to buy some food and stuff, and she had to crawl all the way. Maybe I'm giving you a bit of an education. But language corrupted and corrupting. Respect the mother tongue. Abuse and misuse of language causes hurt, harm, injury, and loss to children and the family, in my humble opinion. Interesting. Adrian, Bill Gates was just helping Epstein with his Microsoft. Yeah, was he switching his plane off and then back on again? And everything worked. Bit like my PC. Microsoft, It does its own thing. I don't even want my computer updated. I don't. I just want it left the way it was 3 years ago when I bought it brand new. But it's that manufactured obsolescence where they put updates on your computer that slows it all down and you just think, oh my God. So maybe that's what Bill Gates was doing on the plane, helping him out with a computer system on his plane. My hairy backside. Soul Rebel, I've led a sheltered life, Rev. You have, Soul Rebel, but don't worry, I'll corrupt you. Cat987, Microsoft. Well, seemingly, it wasn't for Bill Gates, it was micro very hard. Small and hard. Maybe that's why he called it Microsoft, because he liked... no, Adrian. No, stop that one coming out. I see you. Apple are the same. Updates? No, thanks. Yeah, you can. Foxtrot Oscar. So I'm not having any of that malarkey. I mean, even my phone, it's the little red dot. You go, oh my God, I want rid of it. So I'm going to ask you a question. There's no proof for Ghislaine Maxwell. So I want to know, in her trial, what proof they used to jail her. Because they couldn't have used any. They couldn't. Jeffrey's dead. Dead men can't speak. No dead man's trigger. Maxwell, according to the Bad Wolf Project, has no legal pathway for a successful appeal unless something extraordinary and unforeseen happens. Like there's no names and no clients. Because that's an unsafe prosecution in America. In any court of law, it's unsafe. There's no proof. What's she been doing? Procuring young girls for ghosts. No proof, no names, no clients. They'll find a way around it, and then she'll claim compensation. And then all of it will just go away. And I am going to tell you what Donald Trump's response is today, but I just want to go through the levels. I want to give you the insight so you get context and understanding. So what would you do? What would you do if you were Jeffrey Epstein? I don't mean, the nefarious stuff and the nasty evil stuff, but what would you do? You're running one of the most sophisticated blackmail rings ever seen on planet Earth. It's entrapping presidents of the United States. Bill Clinton likes his bananas green. I mean, can you imagine waking up next to Hillary? First thing on the morning. Oh, Jesus, did I pull that last night? Anyway, if it was me, I'd wind up dead. That's why she's nicknamed Hillary Clinton. Because people just miraculously around her wind up unalived. So the court convicted Maxwell for her own actions, but not for being part of a broader conspiracy where others escaped justice. Okay, Bad Wolf Project, you're giving very considered and very intelligent answers, but I'm going to ask you this. If she was a procurer of underage girls for Jeffrey Epstein, and now there's no names, no clients, no proof, what did they convict her of, and because of what evidence? Anybody can answer that. Not just Bad Wolf Project. Anybody can answer that. Because it seems that no names, no clients, no proof. It's like a murder. You can't have a murder unless you've got a body. You could have other things, but a murder is there's been a murder. So a murder is a murder is a murder. And you can only have a murder when there's a body. No evidence. There can be abduction and all kinds of stuff. But if there's no body, no evidence. So I'm just thinking this through. What would you do if you were Jeffrey Epstein? You're running a massive, I mean, it's worth billions and billions and billions. What would you do if you were running a blackmail ring? Say I was blackmailing the Labour government, the Tory government, and anybody else who might have shorted the shares of NatWest. If I was investigating... and I was getting them into compromising positions. Firstly, I know that if you don't go shagging, you can't get done. If you're going to do recreational gear, you'll get done. So I made sure that my life was pretty clean all the time, because I didn't want the press turning up at my door going, oh, Mr. Allen, you naughty boy. And some people are like, well, how can you do this? Is it coffee, Adrian, or is it marching powder? I've never done any recreational gear ever in my life. And I was going to ask a question last night, which I'm going to save for tomorrow night. I've never smoked a cigarette. And being a single guy, you can go and do whatever you want with consenting adults. So, Get No Defendant says a Trump sex tape scandal now would be bigger than Watergate. Oh, it would be humongous. I'm sure his detractors are looking for stuff that they can get him with. And until today, hang on, Mike J. Grock says, however, she stopped short of admitting personal guilt for the specific crimes, framing her comments carefully, likely on legal advice to avoid jeopardizing her appeal. So, if that's what Grock says, and it's Musk and Grock, except Grock is a little flawed. You can't ask about the Holocaust because he won't answer you. So ask about 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Grock won't answer you at all. It'll just stall and stop. You can't get answers to other things because, well, they just don't want it used against Musk or however. But so I was very well aware of my time in media that I had to be squeaky clean. Single guy, could do whatever I want as far as relationships were concerned. But anything else, squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. If you look at, take John Leslie. I know John quite well. Very, very, very nice guy. I won't have a bad word said against him. But the thing that did him was not the shagging, not the. I mean, some of those tapes were lively, but young guy, loads of money, high profile in showbiz. There's going to be lots of shenanigans. But what did for him was taking the coke, the Colombian, the white stuff, the nose bag, the Charlie. It was that. The minute that hit the press, that was it, done, finished. And it was such a shame because, so I don't know whether you remember the John Leslie furore, and I am going to get back to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but I'm kind of juxtapositioning this with stuff that with contemporary reference for you, the John Leslie story, but it was the media feeding on itself, saying that John Leslie was the guy that went round to Ulrika's and wasn't very nice. He was found wholly innocent of that. I mean, I know the name. I know the person. Can't say it here. A, he's still alive. B, he'll sue the shit out of me. But there was a name. Gene Psychic, I agree. John Leslie was a good presenter. Me and him went out to Miami once on a bit of a press junket. And we went out for John Cicada to do interviews and stuff. And I'd known John since he was a nightclub DJ in Newcastle. So I was doing the radio, he was doing the nightclub. Then he bagged Blue Peter and off he went. And very talented man as far as I'm concerned. And I won't have a wrong word said against him because there was other people that dropped him in the shite. And I've told you before, Matthew Wright named him on his show. Now, Matthew and John had the same agent. Don't know why that was allowed to happen, but Jonathan Sacerdoshi at a particular production company contacted me and wanted me in place because if John had sued Matthew, Matthew would have had to leave his Channel 5 talk show and they were going to install me. So I would have been on your telly doing a chat show instead of Matthew Wright, but John didn't sue him, so it came to naught. Oh my God, Adrian, you know where the bodies are. Correct, Jane. Correct. But you have to adhere to laws in this country. I can be a little bit more loose behind the memberships of this channel. And I will genuinely give you names that will take your breath away. You won't believe me. But I'm telling you, I've spent 2.5 years getting you to trust me and telling you stuff that turn out to be true. And that's why I've done it. So that when I tell you stuff that you go, oh, boom, blow me head. Wow. Household name. Correct. I've told you about Greville Janner and Ted Heath and Sir John Gielgud cruising around Soho in London picking up rent, boys. Now, I had somebody come to me when I was doing my radio TFM late night phone-in 1989 and said, I want to give you some proof about something. And then when I did my lunchtime phone-in on Century 106 in the East Midlands, 98 to 2000, 97 to 2000, somebody came to me and said, I was abused by Greville Janner. Lord Janner, Labour peer, not the Tories, not the perverts, Labour. I was abused by Greville Janner. And because of Greville Janner being barrister, lawyer, clever, legal, eagle. I can't say anything until he's come out, until he's dead, and he's dead. But this guy gave me, Porrock says, Ardon speculation. I didn't think he had one of those. Some sources, including a June 2025 Daily Mail article, suggest Maxwell's team is exploring a presidential pardon under the Trump administration. Thank you, Mike J. So there you go. If she's pardoned, if she gets a presidential pardon, Trump's finished. He's done. He's finished. He might like to play 75D chess, but he's done because in the eyes of the American people, he's guilty until proved innocent. Now, whether he has or he hasn't, this is bigger. This is the biggest story of 2025. Not even the assassination attempt last year. This is bigger because he rode in on a ticket of honesty and truth. He was going to give everybody the truth. And then Dan Bongino, who's the deputy at the FBI, and Kash Patel, who's the when the book stops at the FBI. And then you've got the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Is it Biondi or Bondi? They're all saying, yeah, don't worry, I've seen the files. Oh, yeah, we've got 14 terabytes worth of evidence, and we've got 10,000 videos of stuff. And well, hang on a second. Les, I said Matthew right, not Steve right. Yeah, Steve right, brilliant. Matthew right, yeah, not a bad lad. To be fair, he just made that one mistake, and it was a feeding frenzy. The press were like piranhas. And it's amazing how Ulrika Johnson, self-admitted alcoholic, didn't come out and say, no, it wasn't him. As Chubby Brown says, Ulrika only realised it was rape when the cheque bounced. She should have come out and protected, a bit like the Hugh Edwards, where, again, we had this feeding frenzy, piranha feeding frenzy, where the wife of Hugh Edwards had to come out and stop the speculation because it was going to ruin Nikki Campbell's career, Jeremy Vine's career, and others. And in my interview with Jeremy Vine, which is coming soon, he actually talks about this, about what was going on behind the scenes in the BBC. So you've got Hugh Edwards and the John Leslie, and Ulrika. She just had to come out and give the name, but refused. So people were being tarred, and this was in the early days of the way the press is now. Hugh Edwards was a completely different kettle of fish. But, you know, when you've got that kind of frenzy going on, you can't really do anything. You've just got to sit there and hope the storm will pass. Well, the storm didn't pass in Ulrika's case. People lost their careers over it, which is a shame. I see you. I agree. Gene Psychic, I like Steve. Yeah, Kenneth Noel Curran, BBC, aka Jim will Fix It fan club. And I will say to anyone, if you've got names and proof of paedophiles and nonsense in the BBC, then hand them to the police. But this is YouTube. If you're brave enough, if you think you're some kind of investigative reporter, then just cough with what you know. And then just stand up in the court of law and go, there's the evidence, my lord. Because the people, a bit like Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile. I met Jimmy Savile. I've told you this story before. I met Jimmy Savile when he left Radio 1. He came to record Savile's Travels at TFM. We thought, so Metro Radio and TFM, and then the Yorkshire stations that Metro bought, they thought this was fantastic, that they would get a star like Jimmy Savile, and it was on a Sunday lunchtime. He would record it, bang it up to us, and then we would chop and change it and do whatever we needed to do to get it into a couple-hour show, and we would broadcast it TFM on Teesside, Metro in the northeast, and then the Yorkshire, Hallam, Ayr, and the other stations that Metro bought, and then offer it to the rest of the commercial radio network. It was a big deal. So Savile came into the studios one day, and don't worry, I am getting back to Epstein and the dead man's trigger. Don't worry. He came into the studio, and he was through the glass. And I looked through the glass and I mean, soundproofed, nobody else in there, mic's not live. Fuck me, that's Jimmy Savile. How the bloody hell? So my mate Jeff, who was kind of producer of the radio station, was negotiating. He came in and he had all the the gold and the jewelry and the stuff, and he was like, "No, it's all borrowed. No, it's not mine. I just borrow it." Likely story. So Savile didn't like you. I remember you saying, Rev Stuart. No, he didn't. Either I was too old, or I was too heterosexual, or he kind of looked. I'm thick set, so he's obviously looked at me and think, Jesus, if I do anything, he might just loosen some of my teeth. He would be right, as I threatened with Simon Bates, as I was bending over the desk and he fondled my bollocks. Bates, you do that again, I'll rip your arms off and shove the soggy ends up your arse. So Savile might have just detected that little vibe coming from me, but he was still a star. I'm so glad he didn't. He might have had to have some gold teeth inserted. Not a violent man by any stretch of the imagination, but anybody that takes liberties needs to be shown the error of their ways. So what would you do if you're Jeffrey Epstein? I'll tell you what I would do. I would make sure that I had insurance. I had insurance against the FBI, the CIA, the American government, the Democrats, the Republicans, worldwide businesses. And I know, and maybe I will talk about these names. There are really, 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 really big tech names that might have been caught in this web. I'm not going to elucidate any further, but I am telling you, I know stuff. I know a world famous household name model that I think is on the game. And it's just because she pitches up at these certain parties, like Diddy parties and other parties. And there's a coterie of people who have these parties, these gatherings. And I am aware of, and I said, look like Jackie Pallo, Cuban Pete. Who was that? Jimmy Savile? Yeah, Jackie Pallo, or Saturday Afternoon Entertainment. Adam Whale are her initials. Those initials. I was staying in a hotel when I was at LBC the first time. I just decided to stay in a hotel rather than find a pad or somewhere in London. So I was just staying in this hotel. I was staying on the top floor, and seemingly her and her then boyfriend were doing gear in the hotel and had to be chucked out. I heard this kerfuffle going on below me. I was saying, what the fucking hell's that? So I said to my mate, who was one of the people in the hotel, I said to him, what's going on? He said, we had to chuck 2 people out. I said, not Kate Moss and what's he, Pete, Davidson or whatever his name is. Pete, the guy from the Libertines. Hang on a second. I've got to tell some people off. Stop making me laugh, Soul Rebel and Cuban Pete. Doherty, thank you, Adam. Cuban Pete, Les Kellis, yeah. Soul Rebel, Adrian Street, all that kind of malarkey. You're making me laugh, man. I need to concentrate. So they were chucked out of this hotel for doing gear. And that's, I was told by the staff there. The staff were apoplectic with rage. But, she's in her 50s now. She's a granny. Mike J. People who fight for money are always hard as nails, mate. Even if he was a shit wrestler to the other wrestlers. Yeah, maybe. My granddad on my mum's side, so my mum's dad, he used to go on the cobbles and fight all comers. He was an army boxing champion, and he was evil, but he was as hard as fucking nails. He used to take all comers on, and he'd get like a penny a match. So he'd have to fight loads of them. Back in the day when a penny was something, he'd take all comers on. Never lost. Lola Wilson, yes, it was. It was Kate Moss and Pete Doherty. They were chucked out of this hotel in London, King's Cross, when I was staying the floor above them. It was a proper kerfuffle, mind. Proper. So, what would you do if you were Epstein? I'd look for 2 things. 1, insurance. You have to have insurance. So you have to have insurance on the highest of the high. This is beyond presidents. Presidents are just puppets. It's the puppeteers in the shadows that you need to have the insurance with. You need to have insurance with the CIA and the FBI. And there's J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover, nobody could nail him. Nobody. It was only after his death it came out that he liked dressing up in women's clothes. Now, back in the 40s and 50s, that was massive. I mean, a bloke wearing women's clothes. Now, you wouldn't even bat an eyelid. You know, men can dress up in women's clothes and go and get on the bus and go shopping in town centres, and nobody bats an eyelid unless they look like a fucking ugly woman. Then they can do whatever they want. We're more accepting in 2025, but 75 years ago, J. Edgar Hoover likes wearing stockings and suspenders. Mate, do you know? Jackie may be him, as does Tony Blair too, from what I've heard. Windbag Hoover. Yeah, so J. Edgar Hoover had insurance. Nobody would touch him. He was evil to the core. I mean, some American presidents loved him. He was the head of the FBI until he was an old boy. Still wearing the gear though, you know, the stockings and suspenders and the dresses and the hats and the handbags and stuff and the high heels. Can you imagine? He was just a thick-set, squat, fat old boy wearing high heels. He'll have looked like Les Dawson with lipstick. So, and Les Dawson was proper funny, by the way. So we like showbiz men dressing up as women, panto dames, but when it's the head of the FBI, and that went with him to his grave. So what would you do if you were Jeffrey Epstein? Would you have your insurance? Would you have dead man's trigger or dead man's switch, where if the shit hits the fan and you suddenly find yourself in jail, unalived, seemingly, suicided, then you just make sure it goes to everywhere, everybody, everything, everywhere. So they can't deny it. But that's what makes me think Epstein's not dead. Epstein. So, is this proof of yet another conspiracy? We're talking about Epstein. Is this another conspiracy that nobody believes? Or is it the way that I'm feeling it in America? America is apoplectic with rage at Trump. Apoplectic with his team, with his administration, because they've pissed on America's chips. They've said to everybody, oh yeah, we've got all the evidence. We're going to give you the names. Now, how could they offer to give us the names when there is no names, no clients, no proof? How can they do that? How can they say we've got the Epstein files when they haven't got the Epstein files? They've got no proof. None. Nix. Nada. Absolutely zip, zilch. Nothing. Vix text. The mafia blackmailed J. Edgar Hoover with his cross-dressing. I'm sure he was very happy with his dressing. Vix text. Don't think he was cross about it at all. So Gene Psychic says, I don't think he's dead. I'm with you, Gene. I think he's in the either witness protection program or he's got dead man's trigger, dead man's switch. He's got so much proof. Now remember, the FBI went into all of his houses. They went into his New York house. They went into his Epstein Island, which bizarrely, Nickelodeon and their logo looks just like Epstein's Island. And then, so they've gone in there and tried to get all the videotape. Amalia, sorry about that. And by the way, there was a technical glitch last night, and it was because my phone wasn't attached to Wi-Fi. It was me. It was my fault. So tonight we're definitely running a little bit more smooth. And by the way, before I continue on with Epstein, because I've got a lot more to tell you, smash the likes, you wrong'uns. There's like nearly 285 people watching this. Oh, tough audience tonight. So if you're so inclined, smash the likes. If I can get it over 200, then it makes a whole lot of difference to the algorithm and YouTube going, oh, bugger me. What's going on there? Mr. Allen's rather popular. So go on, smash the likes while I'm talking to you. So the proof of the most powerful, I've used J. Edgar Hoover for you. And there was the Kennedys who were both banging Marilyn Monroe, and she had to be Epstein because, well, dead women can't speak. So did she have an overdose? No, did she bollocks? And I've recorded an interview with a man called Mark Shaw. That interview is already done, and that's coming to the channel at some point in the future. Very soon, it's going to go to the membership area first, so you get first dibs on it before it goes into the free area on a Sunday and a Wednesday or during the day. But Let's give it a second or two to settle down. It's time. Echo, 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 echo. So the proof you need to look after yourself, and if Epstein was a billionaire and had his own jets, multiple homes around the world, a $10 million townhouse, a $10 million townhouse, the most expensive townhouse in New York City, and he owns that. How did that come about? Well, he was doing mathematical theorem at school and just happened to work out how he could win all the lotteries every year. No, he was blackmailing shit, man. So he had proof on the most powerful people in America, whether it be tech, whether it be politicians, whether it be showbiz, whether it be anybody else that came into his orbit. He had it. Oh, come and stay over. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, we have very famous people come over. Yeah, Prince Andrew, when he's around, he comes over and bangs 16-year-olds. But technically, for Prince Andrew, the girls that we are aware of that he was sleeping with were legal tender in this country. Maybe not in America, but he's English. So now he's gotten away with it. Air Miles Andy. Whoa, close one there, Andy. Who sorted that out? Oh, let's have a think. Is his second name Weak? So if this is another conspiracy, we'll just wait another 3 or 4 years until more proof comes out, and then everybody that goes, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory, they can turn around and apologise to us. Because is he in witness protection? He's got the money, he's got the influence, he's got the power, he might be. So why would he be unalived or put in the witness protection program? Because the people that he was blackmailing on behalf of Mossad and the American intelligence services and the Brits, because this went, they all share intelligence, but it's Mossad and Israel. Israel love a bit of a blackmail, especially Bibi Netanyahu. Andy H, you're being censored. Am I? Them royals always more than wrong ones. Absolutely more than wrong ones. And I've told you before, I'm not going to go into it here, but there is one royal that will make another royal look like a choir boy, comparatively. And I know what's happened and what and how and where. Can't bring it here because I will get my brake pipes cut. Look, if they can kill a president, if they can kill a princess, or they can murder a princess, they can take a YouTuber out without thinking. The legal age for consent in the UK is 16. There is already rumours of a future campaign to lower it to 12. Oh, no, Les, man. Fucking hell, no. Not mad on Oasis, just not my taste. Where did that come from, Gene Psychic? So, why would he be in the witness protection programme? Because there are still people alive that the intelligence agencies, whether it's Mossad or CIA or FBI or MI6, MI5, that all the intelligence agencies swap intelligence. And if Epstein was, and I believe he was an asset, a Mossad asset, split between America and Israel, he was getting all kinds of shit on people that you just wouldn't think. Even people that are not in the public eye, but are powerful enough for the people, the puppet masters, to need to manipulate. But here's the thing. Netanyahu has put Trump forward for the Nobel Peace Prize. I know, Derek. I know. I'm kind of getting to that in a second. So is that payment for making sure that shit don't come out about Israelis or Netanyahu or his government or Netanyahu himself? Who knows? Who knows? It could be just speculation, and I'm not going to speculate. Told you. I know where the bodies are buried. And I don't want mine in the same place. NB Media, they were better than that back in the 90s. Who? Jam and Bay City Rollers were favourites. Where are we going, Lola Wilson? Welcome to the Body of the Cook. And to you, NB Media UK, I haven't seen you for a while if you've been before. Both of you can have your cherries popped. Ghetto Defendant, remember Ghislaine's dad was also Secret Service asset. Oh, well, yeah, he was Jewish. He's look, here's the thing. If you know what you're doing, there's absolutely, you can control the narrative. So, Captain Bob, Robert Maxwell, he was a Jew, and a very wealthy Jew, because he absolutely spunked all the pension money out of the Daily Mirror, used it for his own nefarious uses. but he's buried on the Mount of Olives. You can't dig up anybody that's been interred in the Mount of Olives. It's law in Israel. Just can't. Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch never fell off the boat. I'm sure he didn't, Nicholas. Well, he didn't go swimming with the fishes either. So, but seemingly he's interred in the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. You can't dig him up. So nobody can find out whether he's there or not, or whether he's with Jeffrey Epstein in South America under the Witness Protection Program in the same compound as Hitler. Who knows? But why have they taken out 1 minute of video? So the FBI has 10 hours of footage of Epstein's cell, seemingly, because they were monitoring him. And seemingly, there's 1 minute from 23:59 to midnight. 1 minute. There's video missing of the monitoring of his cell door. So let me just have a think. The cameras weren't working. The jailers fell asleep. And Jeffrey Epstein didn't look like Jeffrey Epstein, because there's been, the sleuths on social media. They're comparing his ear with the ear of the bloke that they reckon was brought out of the cell. And it's not Jeffrey Epstein's ear. And the other thing is, the paramedics don't bring dead bodies out of jails. The coroner would do that. So why? And also, they would, like John Doe, they'd be out in a body bag, black body bag, put on a trolley and taken to an ambulance, or the coroner's people would put them in the back of a hearse and then take them to the coroner, where, if it's an unexpected death, I'm sure it's the same in America, then you wouldn't just chuck the body away. You wouldn't bring the body out on a gurney, maybe, on a trolley. You wouldn't bring a body out on a gurney with them staring up at the ceiling so everybody could see the face. That's narrative. That's propaganda. That's people wanting you to see shit, so you go, I've seen his face. Seen his face, it looks like him. Definitely his nose. Not his ears, though. So, interesting, I see you. Just putting on the glasses of doom. Considering we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, there's somebody else that's been unalived in the comments. So, I don't mind people disagreeing with other people in the comments. I don't mind people disagreeing with me in the things that I'm saying. But I will just say to you, if you start using language that is unbecoming of a gentleman, you're going to start Oscar. I'm not interested. So there's a minute missing of video of his cell door. Why is that? So they can walk him out. Jeffrey, come here, quick, come here. We've only got 60 seconds. It's mission impossible. This is your mission if you choose to accept it. Just get Jeffrey Epstein out of his cell and then get some other poor sap in there that's already dead, cold-ish. Look, if they can put masks on a bloody president and expect everybody to believe that Joe Biden was still alive, I mean, the poor old bugger, they're going to unalive him. Mike J, it's not you. Don't worry. You've been a welcome addition this evening, as a lot of people have. Sometimes I see your comments and I don't comment myself because it's not sitting into where we are in the story arc. So it would have taken 5 seconds to get Epstein out. If somebody had had a word with him going, right, get your shit together. We're going to get you out of here. And we've got to do it quickly because there's cameras everywhere. Well, those that are working. So I would suggest that Jeffrey Epstein was the 3-letter agencies they were controlling him, whether it was CIA or FBI or Mossad, which is more than 3 letters. Before you say that, you're wrong. So I believe that he was in major, up to his eyeballs in shite. But the one thing that doesn't exist And they're now saying that, well, the videos didn't work, the cameras didn't work, the CCTV didn't work. There's not one shred of video evidence of Jeffrey Epstein killing himself. Not one. Doesn't exist. Nobody, nowhere, anything. So you would think that they've been very, and I'll give you another example. I was mentioning the conspiracy theories earlier. If you look at 9/11, so the missile, not plane, the missile that hit the Pentagon, there was 4 frames that they kept back from the video at the petrol station across the road. 4 frames. Why did they keep the 4 frames? Because it was proof that it wasn't a bloody aeroplane. That's what they were doing. And then they released another 3. There was just the 1 frame with a missile coming into frame that they didn't want anybody to see because, honestly, they told you it was a plane that had no debris at the Pentagon, and there's no proof that it was a plane in the Pentagon at all, even in the hit zone, that the plane supposedly hit the Pentagon. No, it was a very high-tech missile to take out the paperwork for the $3 trillion worth of military money that was disappeared, was Epstein a couple of days before. So there's no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. None. Other than we're having to take the word from the press, the mainstream media. And I've told you just one thing. Yes, so the conspiracy theory around the missile, it's exactly the same with Epstein. They have no video evidence. They've hidden it and done whatever they've done with it. Now, if you're the Catholic Church and you think that somebody's going to get charged with heresy, and they've come up with some truth, like a piece of the true cross, or Mary Magdalene and Sarah in France, which is what the Templar believed, that the bloodline of Christ is still on this earth, then what they would do is they would just kill people off. This is the Catholic Church. They can do whatever they want. They, 1,500 years ago, they would have just killed people. Who's he going to tell now then? Or paperwork or parchment or whatever that proves, and some of the books that were in the Bible that prove other things, they just got rid of them, destroy them. So maybe one of the 3-letter agencies has destroyed the video of Jeffrey Epstein killing himself, because he didn't, and there is none, ever. So that 1 minute of video missing from his cell door, anything can happen. Similarly as the missile that went into the Pentagon on 9/11. Bit convenient, but if they just destroy it, all copies of it, nobody's ever going to see it again, unless there's somebody within the FBI who's like, right, I'll have a copy of that. So have you also noticed how where Air Miles Andy is nowhere to be seen? Shagger, Windsor, to his friends. Or Chopper Windsor, because he flew a few in. Can I tell you, I was with an Argentinian at the weekend. I mean, sometimes, just as a little aside, sometimes I just need a. I had family and relatives and friends that fought in the Falklands War. First, it just came out of my mouth. I said, lovely guy, lovely guy. But the first words out of my mouth was, how did General Galtieri inspect his Air Force? And he looked at me. He said, what? I said, through a glass-bottom boat. That's Malvinas. He's still after them, you're wrong. Because we went to war, mate. And we'll fuck up the Argentinians again if we have to. We don't get beaten. 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup. Best fighting force in the world, us. I apologise, obviously. Or apologised, obviously. Terry Woodford by sub. Randy Andy, Kelvin Edge says. So, where's Randy Andy gone? Windsor the Shagger. Where's he gone? Because it stinks, this. All of this stinks. Do you not think, oh, there you go. So Virginia Giuffre, the only evidence, the only noise, the only spokesperson for the other victims that was there in the press all the time, and she had dead man's trigger. She left stuff behind, including audio, saying, a bit like Diana, You know, my husband's going to have me offed. He's going to have me killed so he can get married to Camilla. And what happened? She's an ex-princess. So I'm going to make a prediction for you. Kash Patel, he's not going to be the sacrificial lamb for this, but he'll be gone by the end of the year. I think Kash Patel, is where the book stops in the FBI, I think he's been compromised. He's been in a relationship. He would have been 40 and she was 20 when they started the relationship. Pretty little thing. Down in the jungle room. Walking in Memphis. Not get the reference? He's look, every time you see him in a picture with his girlfriend, bloody hell, it would take a surgeon to wipe the smile off his face. And she's an intelligence officer for the IDF. Not compromised much then. Pillow talk. Oh, Jesus. I mean, Mata Hari knew what she was doing. It's the oldest trick in the book. A Mossad intelligence agent shagging the head of the FBI. At least he's not wearing women's clothes that we know of. So Kash Patel, he'll be gone by the end of the year. Dan Bongino gave up his successful podcast. He's going to be gone in months. Because they've lied, in my view, to the American people. And the American people know that they've lied. They were told, we have the evidence, we're going to drip feed it, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Obviously, that was on one of the videos that compromised one of the powerful. So I think Kash Patel and Dan Bongino is going to take the fall for this. Not the Attorney General, not Donald Trump. So if you want any more evidence about how Epstein wasn't suicided, because they reckon he hung himself using sheets, didn't they? Well, seemingly in the bloke that they say is Epstein, he had a broken bone in his throat. It was broken when he was examined. And the coroner's evidence was that it wasn't somebody who had hung themselves. It was somebody that had been strangled. So this bone was evidence enough to say that Epstein didn't kill himself. The bloke that was in the cell was killed. And look, you're dealing in billions and billions and billions. You're dealing with power here. You're dealing with power beyond any money, because money is no object. So why did the paramedics remove this body pertaining to be Jeffrey Epstein from the jail, from his cell? The coroner, at the point it was an unexpected death, the coroner takes over. It's the same in this country. If somebody dies unexpectedly, the coroner takes over. The police will do their investigation. Obviously, they're the evidence gatherers. But the coroner would remove the body from the cell for further investigations. And why wasn't it brought out in a body bag? They don't bring them out with a bloody ugly fizzog to the sun. They put them in a body bag. They get them into freezers as quickly as they can to preserve any evidence or to preserve the body. So is Jeffrey Epstein in Israel? Or is he in South America? Or is he renting a London apartment from Starmer? And what I want to know is, will Andrew now leave the UK and live in Bahrain or the Middle East or somewhere like that? Because Andy's got away with it by the skin of his teeth. I'm not sure. Right, I'm going to ask you a question. Get ready with you. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you believe that Prince Andrew is wholly innocent? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you believe that Prince Andrew is wholly innocent? Doppelganger. Mephistopheles, yeah. Wow. Okay, Mike J, you're the only one so far. Everybody's saying no. So the question I was asking is, do you believe that Prince Andrew is wholly innocent? And I know it's not illegal in the UK, Terry, but it's this, we don't know what else he's been up to. And there were allegations from people that went onto Epstein's Island that they saw Prince Andrew on Epstein's Island. Literally 99% are saying no. Too close to Epstein, says Tom Harneys. Ray Norton, he don't sweat. So Prince Andrew, I believe, will try and he will want to have the lifestyle that he wants for the next 40 odd years, or however long he's going to be around for. Now, his grandma lived over 100. His mum, sadly, died prematurely. In my view, we won't go anywhere near the conspiracy theories around the jab, but the fact that Queen Elizabeth II died from blood cancer, bone cancer, the fact that Charles has got prostate cancer, the fact that Kate seemingly has precancerous cells. Didn't have cancer. It was precancerous cells when they took out her uterus. So, go on then, Terry. Tell us why he settled. Because I believe what he will do now is he will just get out of the country. He'll go somewhere, Qatar maybe, or Bahrain, or one of the Middle Eastern countries where they revere the royals, and he would have the appropriate lifestyle. He's not going to stay in Blighty or France or wherever, because forever the public are just going to look at him and say one thing, as the votes have said this evening. They don't believe that he's wholly innocent. Amalia Grassi, I find it extremely odd that they would have taken the gibber. I know, Amalia, some of the people, because we've never seen anybody in the House of Commons suddenly fall over, collapse and die. Pericarditis, myocarditis, none of that's going on. So what have they been injected with? Pauline Makepeace, Amalia, exactly. Terry says, because he couldn't go to the US, he was being made a patsy. The US Department of Justice would have lifted him and done him for trafficking. He couldn't appear in a US court. Correct. So now that there's no further action, nothing's going to go on with Andrew. Will he leave this country? Just quietly and surreptitiously go and live somewhere appropriately and proportionately to his status, so he believes. But if you want to control the most powerful, you have to get stuff on them that's very, 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 very bad. Now, whether you want to talk adrenochrome or other stuff, because you know how they get adrenochrome, don't you? Sometimes they'll go on hunting parties and send the kids out, and they'll hunt them down and do unspeakable things to them, and then extract the blood from them. These are people that are untouchable. The laws of the land that apply to me and you don't apply to them, because they've got so much bloody money. They can buy and sell barristers and lawyers and all kinds of stuff. So if you want to control the most powerful, and that's what Epstein's done, that's what Diddy's done, because nobody's asking the question about Prince Harry and Prince William at P. Diddy's parties. They're not asking the questions about David Beckham and Victoria Beckham at Diddy's parties. But we know that there are certain royals that are WEF puppets. We know that David Beckham is now ball deep with the World Economic Forum. So he's like, there's no David Beckham watch today because there's nothing in the papers. No, absolutely nothing. No. I wish he just foxtrot Oscar. I mean, footballing, maybe. But what he did against Argentina, when he kicked out and we lost that match, the Manchester United fans showed him what they thought about him, and everybody was like, oh, you've gone too far. No, it's football. It's passionate. And if that wanker decides to kick out against the Argentinians and get sent off, well, then there's a price to pay. We're talking about our fucking country. Oh, I'm a good footballer. I scored against Greece and I got us into the World Cup. You're being fucked by the World Economic Forum, mate. That's why he was there. Only 3 people get this reward from the World Economic Forum for your philanthropy. So there you go. It's all about networks. It's all about connections. The one question I have to ask you, though, is if Andrew goes abroad because of what's happening with the Epstein files and Trump and stuff, and if he goes to the Middle East, will he get royal protection? Because I bet Harry is apoplectic with rage in Monty Shit Show. He'll be bouncing off the walls if his Uncle Andy gets royal protection and he doesn't. Oh, me kids. Well, look, we know what... is it PIP, personally... IPP, internationally protected person. We know why they want international protected person, because then Doria won't have her bag searched. And neither will Meghan, and neither will Harry. So they can go anywhere in the world. They're an internationally protected person. So if they've got gear on them, and we know that Doria likes a toot, proven in one of the books that what's his face wrote, and at Meghan and Trevor Engelmanson's wedding, they were given bags of weed out. So we know there's a track record there. That's why they want internationally protected person. Harry gets it if he comes to this country. He gets royal protection. If he comes on royal business or to see his dad or to see the family, he gets IPP. But the yacht girl and her mother, no. And that's why they want it. So Harry will be hopping mad in Monte Shit Show. I mean, you could say the Epstein list hung itself moments before release. So I used Grok. I was talking about this on X a little earlier. And I used Grok. And it updated a comment stating, and I quote, this is from Grok AI, so seemingly it's impartial. Simple. The powerful protect their own. The Department of Justice just claimed no client list. This will do for Trump. I'm telling you, this is me, not Grok. Grok just said, simple, the powerful protect their own. The Department of Justice just claimed no client list. There's no client list. No plain manifest. Nothing. But I'm going to make a prediction. This is going to do for the Trump presidency. It's done. It doesn't matter what he does or how he does it. For the next 4 years or so, 3 and a bit years, this is going to kill his presidency. And they all know it. So Trump interrupted Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, saying, and I'm quoting directly, are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. Do you want to waste the time? This is to the reporters who were getting questions to the president and to Pam Bondi. Do you want to waste the time? Unbelievable. He's trying to say, look, he's been talked about for years. Move on. Mr. President, the whole fucking world is watching you and looking at you going, are you on the list? Have you been shagging underage kids? Because there was a reason why you threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. Well, that's not good enough. Because you told the world and the American people and us, because we're half American, the 53rd state. Was it 52nd? 51st. So we have a president that told us on the campaign trail he was going to release the Epstein files. He's not even told us the truth, why they're not being released. They're not telling us who's on the files. I can only surmise that they've got very powerful people and they need whatever is in the files to control these powerful people for him to get through his presidency, to make sure that America becomes the crypto capital of the world. Because you know that they're going to crash the economy worldwide, don't you? You do know that, don't you? BlackRock have just been buying another few $100 billion worth of Bitcoin. They're all lining themselves up. They know what's coming. And when it comes, mark my words, it will. They're going to crash the fiat currency system and they're going to go digital. It's coming before 2030. It's coming before the end of Trump's presidency. So maybe he's just given up being the nice guy. But I think there are people within their administration, the Trump administration, certainly the FBI, Kash Patel. Look, maybe she likes daddies. She's a country singer. Maybe she's got like a father fixation. Somebody 20-odd year old older than her. He's in his 40s and she's 22. No wonder he's walking about like a super happy guy. The Geopolitical, yes, that's why we are increasing our debt out of all proportion. You think that's why the Labour government are doing that? 22 billion black hole. my airy backside. I am going to talk about stuff because I've got some stuff that I want to get into. But I wanted to do that deep dive around Epstein because now there's more questions than answers. The questions are, who's involved? Why have they scuppered everything? Why are they not telling us the truth? And why are they hiding it from us? Who's being caught in the net? Royalty? Very wealthy people? Showbiz? Showbiz. Hollywood? We know that hundreds of thousands of kids go missing every year in America. Where do they go to? Epstein. Hang on. Top tip, buy either gold, silver, rubies, or yuan, Chinese. Yeah, Mandarin. Or blackjacks. They hold their value. But it has to be a physical entity. It has to be a tangible so that you can, a bit like the special forces when they go out on maneuvers, when they're going into somewhere that's tasty, they take the gold coins with them just to buy off people. Might save their lives. But as we get into it, so if you're running on debt, they're not going to cancel your debt. And remember, please, 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 I know that I've got a very intelligent audience that watch these lives. So I know you get it and I know you understand what I'm saying to you all the time. It's this: you will own nothing and be happy. So BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, JP Morgan, they are all buying up our housing stock. And now we've got a government trying to get the Muslims out of the hotels and into the housing stock. And then the government is going to control the housing stock for the next 6 years. So that'll take us beyond 2030. All of this, the end game is 2030. You will own nothing and be happy. They'll get it done by 2027. They'll give themselves a buffer of 3 years. But BlackRock and all the others are buying up our housing stock. When that moron of a politician stands up at PMQs tomorrow and says, well, we've had £40 billion worth of investment from Amazon. What? They're just giving us money for free. What are they getting in return? There's no such thing as a free lunch. Unless you're Fat Lammy's gastric band. What are they getting in return? So I will say to you, the 62 or 63 billion pounds worth of investment, inward investment from outside in, it's people buying up our wares, our housing stock. It's not people supplying money for net zero and fucking Ed Millipede playing his uka fucking lily. Honestly, I just want to shove that up his ass. What, Berkshire Hathaway, Terry? And schools, Martine. Are they selling them off? Somebody said DWP. I'll have to look at that one later. Yet one missing child in Portugal in very dubious circumstances has cost millions. I know, Lauren. As far as I'm concerned, the Portuguese police had it correct. They had the parents as Guidos. They had them as suspects. Have you noticed how they've never sued anybody that says that they think that the parents killed Madeleine or have knowledge about what happened to Madeleine? Have you noticed they've not sued anybody? Ever. But they've sued former detectives that wrote books that might have put uncomfortable reading in the book. What's a blackjack? I haven't had one of the blackjacks I'm thinking of since the 70s. Oh, they were good. Blackjacks and fruit salads, Amalia. There's no better treat. So let me get rid of this. We've done Epstein. I want to get on to some other stuff. I'm going to give you an update. Fuck off. That'll do. So the update from Liverpool Crown Court today. The brothers, Mohammed Amaz, 28, Mohammed Ahmad, 26. The court yesterday was shown CCTV of a police officer being assaulted. Both brothers are denying assault. Trial continues. And that was in the Daily Mirror. The Sun and the Mail didn't cover it. And you just think, well, hang on a second. And just to give you some kind of reference, that I know that the Americans are waking up now around Epstein, around the Texas floods. The toll is now 104. I mean, those bairns, the little girls who were in camp in their tent, who were just washed away. It's I don't know about you, but it makes me feel sick. Because they're now saying that there was a company seeding the clouds. And this weather modification, I think they're going to change it. They're going to make it against the law in America. I think they're going to go down that route, because Texas flash floods. I mean, I know everywhere can flash flood, including this country, but 104, including loads of little ones. So if you do, keep them in your prayers tonight, or just in your thoughts. Nicholas, this will cause civil unrest if they are found not guilty. We have to let the process of law take full course, full nature. Nicholas, we can't speculate on the outcome of the case, but the video that I've seen is pretty damning, and the court has seen it, and they will be tried by jury, sentenced by a judge. And you are correct. If it isn't seen to be going the way that a lot of people want it to go, then I think there will be problems. Also, I will also say, the original lawyer that represented them, and when they decided to storm the police station, and there was a councillor came out and said, "You've seen nothing yet, mate. Don't take us on, because we're really accepting people, the indigenous population of this country. We're very accepting people until we're not. And when we're not, you know what's coming." And he had the audacity to say to us, "There's barely 4 million of them. There's 64 million of us. If you take away half for the women, 30 million against 4 million. Fucking hell, mate. You got to stop your fucking rape gangs yet." And don't forget 7/7, it was northern Muslims that bombed this country. And as Alf Garnett once says, when you're fighting the Irish and they're bombing this country, you don't go looking for the fucking Chinese. Alf Garnett, quote, 70s, till death do us part. So when they bombed us, tube, trains, buses, London, our nation's capital, and they thought they were clever. I will say to this councillor, "Bonnie lad, you have no idea. None. Because when we do not like something, as Southport has shown, we let our feelings be known. We don't make videos, we just take care of business. And I don't wish violence on anyone. I'm not advocating anything. But it's provocation, it's incitement, and yet the law of this land says you can't incite anyone. And yet that councillor who was inciting other Muslim Brotherhood members didn't get done for incitement. So Keir Starmer, he's evil. That boy, evil. The Labour government, evil. Everybody knows they're fucked. They're gone. Fox to Oscar as quickly as possible. So when are they going to go? I will tell you this as a little aside. Now, I'm not going to give you names as such, because a friend of mine, a very, very dear and old friend of mine, I've known over 30 odd years, told me today that they have someone that comes and helps them. And this woman has never voted for 35 years. She registered to vote in the local elections and the next general election. She's never voted for 35 years. But she's so pissed off with this country, She's registered to vote. She can vote. She's allowed to vote. She's just been one of those people who go, oh, no, what's the point? Never changes anything. But she's registered this time, and she's having it. She's having it at the local elections, and she's having it at the general election. She wants rid of these arseholes. The current government. The evil. And wait till Rachel Reeves ups the fucking taxes. And her daughter, someone else that isn't registered to vote, has registered this week somebody else that's going to vote to get rid of the Labour government, to get rid of any Labour councillors or anybody that doesn't do the best for the electorate that's electing them. People are rising. They've had enough. And I quote, I have had enough. That's what she said to my friend. 35 years of not voting, and now they're so pissed off. They're going to register left, right and centre. And the approval rating of the Labour government is the lowest of any government anywhere, ever in this country. 13%. That's 87% think they're a bunch of cunts. Technical term, obviously. Caring, understanding 90s times. So these, just watch Rachel from accounts. They're going to shaft you. They're going to shaft the middle classes. They're going to introduce a wealth tax. And I heard somebody on the radio trying to justify it earlier today by saying they're only going to tax your profit. How fucking dare he? Fucking multi-millionaire. Champagne socialist. Now, I know something that is quite incendiary, but I'm going to keep it in my back pocket until I need it. And if I ever let this out, it will be more than incendiary. It will bring governments down, and it will do other things. I'm telling you. They think we're arseholes. So he's saying, if you have a house and the house accrues in value, then they're going to tax the value, the profit in it. Hang on a second. Can't we just have a comfortable life? Can't we just get lucky and buy a house for 100 grand and sell it for 200? No, they want a slice of that profit. So you go out and you earn a wage. You earn the wage and you get taxed on the wage. You get taxed twice, national insurance and income tax. So then you take the money home, and then the food that you're buying has value-added tax on it and other taxes on it. So there's taxes at the fuel pump. There's taxes on your food. There's taxes on your clothes. There's taxes every which way. So the tax burden of the current taxpayer is, I'm sure, over 50%. It's the highest it's ever been. They're thieving bastards, this government. And they just sit there going, anybody for a bag of Charlie? Hang on. Fat Lammy's gastric band, he's going to order a shit ton of takeaways again, on the taxpayer, of course. They've got their snouts so far in the trout. They've got their snout so far in the shit that they simply, they're corrupted by the power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the backbenchers are panicking because they're going to get ejected at the next. They want to stay there so they can make money, and power. Talking about power, can you remember when the Dalai Lama sucked that young boy's tongue? And the people around him said, "Oh no, it's a greeting. It's a greeting." Fucking sucking a kid's tongue, not even a teenager, sucking a child's tongue. So the Dalai Lama's come out today, not out now, obviously, and he says, I'm going to have a successor after I die. Is he going to suck tongues? Is that what a successor is? So can you see how Jeffrey Epstein operates and how Diddy operates and how other people protect the powerful because they think they're God on earth? Greg Wallace, you've got to feel sorry for him. Well, I don't really. Greg Wallace has been sacked from MasterChef. 50 more people have come forward making claims. So, can I get to 7-7? Because I need to tell it like it is before I'm going to do 2 and a bit hours. So 7-7, we all remember it. Edgware Road. I mean, I used to work off the Edgware Road at Liberty 963. We were in the same building as Jazz FM, just off the Edgware Road. So I know the Edgware Road really well, and Edgware Tube Station really well, and where the bus was blown up. Sadiq Carnage. Evil little shit. In my view, just a personal opinion, he says this is Muslim. Sadiq Khan says we are building a safer London. He didn't say we're keeping an eye open for Muslim terrorists, because that's what they were. They blew up tubes, buses, trains, or tried to. Sadiq Carnage, and I'm quoting here directly, we are building a safer London. He talks out of his arse, in my view. Yvette Cooper, don't. You could have got 11-1 on her being the next Prime Minister. She's got no chance now. She said, we will always confront the threats facing this country. Not one politician, not one media outlet, the mainstream media outlet, TV, radio, newspapers, or anybody acknowledged that they were Muslim terrorists. Northern Muslim terrorists. And in 2005, when they blew parts of London up, the rape gangs in the north were still in operation. But not one politician, not one stream of the mainstream media has acknowledged that they were Muslim terrorists. And I'm not talking out of school here. I'm not talking bollocks and bullshit. I'm talking facts. Their handlers were Muslim. It would have meant more to this country if we'd had honest politicians saying, that was then, this is now, Muslim terrorists from this country bombed London. But we have better relations, apart from the rape gangs. Sadiq Carnage, we are building a safer London. Fuck off, mate. Just fuck off. And then when you get there, fuck off some more. Because if you think you're that clever, when you were non-dom, Sadiq, mate, before you became an MP. So how have you amassed a £10 million fortune and then you get a knighthood? How did you do that then? Just asking for a friend because we're curious. Yvette Cooper. Her husband, Ed Balls, needs to have a word with her. We will always confront the threats facing this country. No, you won't. You haven't even stopped the fucking dinghies. You see, my Tourette's have kicked in again. They just piss me off, these arseholes. So I'll say to you again, we will always confront the threats facing this country. There is a clear and present danger. There's a clear and present threat to this country. It's called the Muslims coming across on the dinghies that you're putting up in hotels and giving free phones and free food and free support and free yoga classes, while the rest of us suffer. It's an observation. And I'm allowed it. Article 10 of the European Convention for Human Rights. I do not trust a single politician in this country. I know I always say, how can you tell when a politician's lying? Their lips move. They're evil, abjectly evil. So to balance everything out before I get to the evil Labour Party, it's not just them. Once they have their feet under the table, they import their extended family and then start breeding like rats. But the politicians know this. That's why they're doing it. And I've told you before, in 1997, when Charles Lyndon Blair came to power as leader of the Labour Party, just Google Charles Lyndon, Bow Street Magistrates. See what you get. What Charles Lyndon Blair did, Anthony Charles Lyndon Blair, What he did was his government decided, and it was a negotiation. It was the treaties of Nice and the treaties of Rome that he signed with Robin Cook that just obliterated our borders and we couldn't control them. I've already told you about the Seville commitment, as in the place in Spain where it was signed. International treaties, the Seville commitment. And what is that commitment? It means that whomever gets into power after the Labour Party cannot sign away and get rid of any treaties. They can't get rid of this. So any changes that they need to make, I'm talking Farage and Reform or anybody else that gets to power and forms a government for the King, Charles the Weak. They can't change anything. Because then Europe will start and say, well, international law, fuck off, mate. I tell you what, why don't we do it this way? Forget international law. It's man oh man. It's country on country. We'll take the whole of fucking Europe on and we'll do them. We'll do them. Let's go to war. Honestly, let's just fucking nuke Brussels and all these arseholes that are making these rules and laws because they're trying to be very clever. What they're trying to do, the fucking French can't fight. Fucking hell, me and a car full of my family can go across there and take France in an afternoon. The fucking Nazis did it in a couple of hours. Remember the pictures of Hitler walking in Paris, gay Paris, fucking French, shagging each other. And the French president's across here. Give us our money back. It's nearly £1 billion. Give us our money back. Cunt. Caring, understanding, 90s type. It's an acronym. And the Germans are not going to fight. Fuck off. Let's just have them. We'll go to war. We'll beat the whole fucking lot of them in a couple of days. He did, Fred. But what he did, and this is why it makes me so angry, because they talk out of the left side. Hang on, that's my left. You're looking at my right. Talk out of the left side, and they're telling lies out of the other side. So what Blair did, and his government in 1997, we were averaging 22 to 25,000 immigrants coming in per year. The Germans said to Blair and the French, "Oi, we're taking in 100,000 immigrants a year. You're going to have to take up some of the slack." So what happened? Blair said, "Right, we'll take more in then." And France says, "Oh, we'll take more in," until the blacks started kicking off. I mean, look at the World Cups. They were blaming the black Africans for the rise up in France. I told you, the French are shit at fighting, man. They can't do anything. Or they might stick a knife in a dinghy. That's about as hard as they go. French Foreign Legion. Myth and legend. Best fighting force on planet Earth, bar none, we English. Scots, bit of Welsh, but mostly the northern boys, because we've had such a shit upbringing, we can absolutely take anything. Not the shandy drinking southerners. You never get much of them in the special forces. Need their arses wiping. Thank you, Rich, for your support as ever. So you've got Blair saying to the Germans, all right, we'll see what we can do. So what they did was they counted the male heads coming into this country. So if you've got the dinghies coming across, and there's, thank you, Chris, really appreciate it. You've got all the male heads coming into this country. But what they then did for net immigration, so net immigration is those coming in against those coming out. What Blair and his government did was the men that came in and then brought the wives across and then brought the kids across, when we deported them for net immigration, the Blair government counted the female heads and the heads of the children and the males that left this country. So one would come in and four would go out. So it looked really, really good. It looked like the Blair government was getting rid of a whole of illegal immigrants. They weren't. They were just, once the missus and the kids came across, they just fucked them off and got them out. And then went, oh yeah, net immigration is down. And everybody was like, oh, brilliant. Nobody asked the question, hang on, what kind of method are you using to count them? Nobody asked him. And he got away with it until he left after 10 years. I've told you before. In my view, Blair is evil to the core. He wants that digital ID system. He wants to be able to run it and make tens of millions of pounds running it. Tomorrow night, I'm going to talk about digital IDs and where the government is with it all and what they've been doing. So just as a small favour, we've got nearly 280 people watching at the moment. Those that haven't, could you smash the likes to get me tiptoe over the 200 likes, please? Just smash the likes if you can. I don't know whether to... yeah, let's get to this, because there's some really quick fire stuff that I'm going to give you in the next 10 minutes or so. I believe that Labour couldn't be more evil if it tried. Couldn't. So number 10 is now refusing to rule out a new wealth tax. The middle classes, they're going to eviscerate and obliterate the middle classes in this country. There are those that might have a few bob and, you know, pay above the odds. They're in the 40% tax bracket, but they're going to leave this country. They're going to emigrate somewhere else where they're not going to get the bejesus kicked out their bollocks. Technical term, obviously. So number 10 is refusing to rule out a new wealth tax. So hang on a second. The wealth tax. Does that mean taxing the MPs more? Does it shite? Does that mean the MPs that are earning over 100 grand a year, or those ministers that are earning 150 grand a year with all their add-ons and hundreds of thousands that they're going to get taxed more? Does it shite? It means that it's the taxpayer. They're going to bend them over and Starmer's going to stick his proverbial government cock up their arse. We're all going to get shafted. All of us. Because they're after that. Because these corrupt Labour government officials and ministers, all they do is they spend our money, the stuff that we're taxing. And the other thing is they spunk it abroad so that it can come back and hit their trouser pocket before they're unceremoniously dumped out of the government in a few years. So today it's announced, oh, have you not wondered where cockeyed Sunak has gone? He's a standing MP. He's still the MP for Richmond in North Yorkshire. Richmond's a beautiful place, very wealthy place. The houses there cost a fortune because you're right next to the motorway and you're into the major arterial routes from a place that's beautiful. He's still the standing MP. Now, when he leaves being an MP, so he's been an MP since 2015. His pension will be a Prime Minister's wage for the rest of his life. Not that he'll need that. It won't even be pocket change because his missus her dad's a multi-billionaire. Infosys, India. But here's the point. It's been announced in the papers today that Rishi Sunak is going to go back to Goldman Sachs. He worked for Goldman Sachs before he became an MP. So Rich Boy, being the operative, cockeyed, is going back to Goldman Sachs. How can he do that when he's a sitting MP? That's what I would stop. In one fell swoop. You're an MP, you're a civil servant, you do not earn any outside money or cash or gifts or anything. 100 grand's worth of freebies for Keir Starmer. That needs to fucking stop immediately. If I was Prime Minister, if I was Nigel Farage, the minute I come in, he won't, obviously, because they're all at it. But the minute I go in, I'll do what Trump did and say, I won't take a penny. I will not earn outside of the presidency or the prime ministerialship. I won't. I will only take my wage, and at the end of my term, whatever that is, I will take all that money. But Rishi Sunak's going back to Goldman Sachs while he's an MP. Where's the priority? I'm being facetious. Thank you, Stuart. Really appreciate it. So there's going to be a tax on profit. You will own nothing and be happy. And I know I'm blue in the face saying this, but stakeholder capitalism, that's where we're going. So all that's happened is we can't fight the man. We can't fight the system because the system is actually corporations. We don't know how to fight them. I mean, I was just being facetious in saying we should go to war. We should never go to war. One life is too many lost. But isn't it funny how they can do it to us and they can say it to us and we can't respond? Not react, respond. So stakeholder capitalism means that the corporations are running everything. The corporations are running the MPs and the political system, the parasitical system. Why? Because they can. They've got the money. They're manipulators. They're the puppet masters in the shadows. Told you, Bilderberg Group, W.H. Smith's in the Bilderberg Group. How does that work? They used to sell shit diaries. They're closing a whole load of their shops, but they were in the Bilderberg Group. Rich boy should be told, no, you money grabbing bastard. You've got an MP's wage. Your pension's going to be a prime ministerial wage for the rest of your life. And you'll eventually get into the House of Lords once Blair's got his Order of the Garter, Oniswaki Malipons. The next one's going to be the Door Scotsman, Brune. And then we've got all the Tory. I mean, we had a new prime ministership every 6 weeks. So they've got a whole shit ton of prime ministers to go into the House of Lords because they're supposed to go in there. So stakeholder capitalism means that you will own nothing and be happy. Corporations are running the world. That's why the Donald was seen as a savior for America, because he knew the game. As opposed to the other politicians who were making a shit ton of money out of nowhere on 180 grand a year, and they've got a 20 million pound fortune or 200 million pound fortune. If you want an insight into how politics works, let's look at Russia. So Russia's transport minister today or yesterday, he was sacked in the morning. He was found dead in the afternoon. Shot himself. Bit like Jeffrey Epstein hanging himself. Shot himself. Suicide, according to state TV. Oh, well, have we got a problem? Yeah. Don't now. That's the Russian transport minister. Russia is a hugely wealthy country. He was sacked in the morning. Nobody's talking about why he was sacked. It's either going to be money or sex. Found dead in the afternoon. Shot himself, according to Russian state TV. Suicide. Couldn't make that fucker up. I mean, you look at, can you remember the woman that demonstrated? I think it was against Putin as well. The woman that came into the room and started remonstrating with Putin. So they got hold of her. And somebody pulled out a syringe and just injected her to keep her quiet and then dragged her out. That's Russia for you. They don't go about in Russia. I mean, should we have that kind of politics in this country? So, transport minister in the morning, sacked, and then they do the decent thing and Epstein themselves in the afternoon, or whomever did it. I mean, so when we're looking at the geopolitics of the world, you can't believe what we're being told. Like Netanyahu, he's decided to nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, he won't get the Nobel Didn't Lie prize because there's this big dark cloud hanging over his head. It's called the Epstein files. So this afternoon, it hit the wires that Trump is now to resume sending weapons to Ukraine. Trump said that the US would resume providing Ukraine with arms to help it withstand Russia. It wants to withstand Russian attacks after months of trying without success to draw Moscow into negotiations on ending the war. Can you see this bullshit? I've repeatedly told you that Vladimir Putin was happy to come to the peace table and negotiate peace. He's asked for it multiple times. But Zelensky, Sniffy, who obviously has gotten lost in some woods somewhere or is still running around on a train with a load of nose bag, he's just disappeared. Why has he disappeared? Because he knows there's factions in his country. He wants to stay, a bit like Netanyahu, he wants to stay a war president, because once he's not a war president, somebody's going to take him out. Maybe to go and get a new Bugatti from Paris, or go to his hotels that he's bought in Eilat. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah, Vix text. It's all political theatre. It's all bollocks. It's all bullshit. Now, as well as that, so Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Do you know the Iranian Ayatollah? It's, hang on, there was Khamenei and Khomeini. I think it's Khamenei now, not Khomeini. David Graham says, Schwab, Bill Gates, Fauci should be on trial for the COVID stuff as well. David, you need to stay, because I've got something right at the very end about Fauci, because it was just hitting the wires as I came on air a couple of hours ago. Proper Fauci's. In fact, bollocks, I'll go straight to it now as soon as you've mentioned that. Thank you, David. Where's? I want to talk about chemotherapy as well, because that's important. Tesla losing a shit ton of money. Come on, bloody hell, man. Adrian. Here we go. So, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Ooh, there's a fresh world of hell facing Dr. Anthony Fauci. What am I talking about? The net is finally closing in on Dr. Doom. Rand Paul, who has grilled Fauci about the pandemic since 2021, says he is preparing to subpoena Fauci as part of an expanded Senate investigation into the origins of COVID-19 and US-funded research in Wuhan, China. Fauci's for the high jump. But what they haven't mentioned is, what about the biolabs in Ukraine? Has anybody... No, they haven't. Nobody dare mention it. There's biolabs in Ukraine that nobody wants to mention at all. No, the bloody wonder they're trying to support Ukraine, and the Russians are laughing, because the Russians just want Crimea. They just want the gas and the oil out of the Black Sea. I keep telling you that. So all these... So it's theatre, darling, theatre. And all you've got is countries vying for the gas and the oil, because they don't want to control the gas and the oil. It's super wealthy. So you've got Israel and the Gaza Strip. There was word I heard a little earlier today where the Gazans are going to be put into a restricted part of the southern Gaza Strip. I'm telling you, the Israelites and Bibi Netanyahu, they want the gas and oil under the East Mediterranean and the Gaza Strip. If you're new to this channel, we've been battering on about this for 2.5 years. Now, you've got Ukraine. People are saying, oh, they want all the minerals and the wealthy stuff in Ukraine. No, Russia's just doing, we want Crimea. You can start Oscar with the rest of it. We want Crimea because that's where all the black gold is. And Russia built a pipeline from the Caspian Sea where in 2000 it was estimated that was 300 years worth of gas and oil. There were trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars worth of gas and oil under the Caspian Sea. And the American president at the time, George W. Bush, agreed with Putin to extract the gas and oil out of the Caspian Sea, get it south through the Tora Bora mountain range, which is where Osama bin Laden seemingly had his cave complex built by the CIA. But they bombed the Tora Bora mountain range to get Osama bin Laden. Did they bollocks? They bombed the Tora Bora mountain range so they could get the pipeline down from the Caspian Sea to a warm water port in Pakistan. And that's been operational for nearly 20 years and nobody's mentioned it. None. Though Russia and America are making a shit ton of money. Exactly the same in the Black Sea. It's all theatre. It's entertainment for the uglies. Politics is just the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex. Trying to work out my timing. I'm going to leave the post office inquiry and my view until tomorrow night. Wednesday night, we will start at 8. I've done a bit of a deep dive, so we'll talk about that because it's absolutely horrible. It's foul what they've done. It's reprehensible and corrupt. I will tell you very quickly before I go, there is a cargo ship in the Red Sea under continuous attack from what I'm hearing. The vessel has sustained significant damage and has lost all propulsion. This is in the Red Sea. So it's the Red Sea before you get up to Egypt and the Suez Canal, or that's why they want the Houthis flattened in the Middle East, because they can fire at the ships in the Red Sea before they go up to the Ben Gurion Canal, which they're going to build over the next decade, and into the East Mediterranean. So as I say, the vessel has sustained significant damage and has lost all propulsion. The vessel is surrounded by small craft and is under continuous attack. That's from the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations, they say in a statement. So there's shit happening in the world that we're not being told about by the mainstream media. Oh, sorry, David Beckham's in the paper. David Beckham, yeah, David Beckham. Well, Brooklyn, I'm pissed off with him because it's little Harper's birthday on Thursday. It's her birthday. She's only, I don't know, 14, 15. But it's me daughter and me son. He's fecked off to America. What a bastard. Well, hang on a second, David. Didn't you do that? Miami Heat. Didn't you go to America and make a few bob? Your son can do that. He's married. He can do what he wants. But tomorrow night we'll talk about that, because I do have a theory and a take on the children of wealthy people. They're just fucked up in the heads and on gear. We will talk about that. Iran's president says Israel tried to kill him during his 12-day war. Look, you and the Donald. Masood something or other made the claim in a video interview with American conservative media personality Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, he's at it again, during which he also signalled that Iran remains open to renewed diplomacy with the US over the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. They're not going to have a fucking nuclear program within years yet, man. And Israel says it wants to go to war again. No shit, Sherlock. Within a couple of days of meeting Trump at the White House. What the fucking hell did they ask for? Well, be more money than... if I can ask you very gently, I only need 10 more likes. So if you haven't smashed the likes, please do so before I wrap tonight's live up. Thank you to everyone who supported the channel this evening. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all your likes. Hopefully they'll go over 200. Your subscriptions, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. As I say, we've got a couple of interviews already recorded, about to be dropped into the membership area when we get into August. And that's how we will go. There'll be more interviews, more deep dives, and it's thank you to everyone that's indulged me this evening. Whatever you do, wherever you go, be safe, be well. Don't forget, if you've got any Battenberg with you, take it. Otherwise, it's just going to end in a mess again. And it's a church. The body of the Kirk will end up with rats. We don't want rats. Definitely don't want rats. Got enough with the choir boys and the nuns. Terry, it's going to be posted as quickly as we can. We're doing some post-production to it. We're changing a few things around, but it's going to be in 3 parts. It's going to be consecutive days. And Jeremy does talk about the Hugh Edwards situation. He talks about his own trolling, and he talks about other stuff, which I'm sure you'd be very, very interested in. That is coming as quickly as I can get it uploaded, get it finished and get it uploaded. So just remember, this may be the theatre of the mind, but it's not a show. This is a mission, and we continue the mission Wednesday, tomorrow, 8 p.m. My name's Adrian Allen. Be well, and I'll see you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, for more stuff that you're not getting in the mainstream media.